Hey y'all, it's a double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk WoW. We have WoW World Championship implications and a little bit of tea time for all of you people who tend to want to jump on the hate train for WoW even though you don't watch the show. This is Steph and Cat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late. I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta.
Hey y'all, it is a brand new episode of Steph and Cat Talk WoW brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Happy belated Thanksgiving and happy beginning of the holiday season. It's your girl Stephanie Hardy, of course, host and creator of HWP Extra, co-host of both of those shows, and co-host of this show along with my sis Katrina from In Cat We Trust, who could not make it this afternoon but she sends her best regards. And we also want to wish her a happy belated birthday because she is out here slaying and just proving that there really is no limit to your greatness, no matter how old you get and no matter where or what things you go through in life, you are still on top, and Katrina is always on top. So we are definitely sending her her regards as she continues to celebrate this week and everything that it's given to her, Thanksgiving and her birthday. It's amazing. So big ups to her. And of course, I'm contributing writer at Daily DDT, as well as color commentator featured on various promotions such as Spartan Wrestling, the Belladonna Division Battle Club Pro, and Black Girl Magic 2022. And I am so happy to be before you guys to talk about these past two episodes of WoW Superheroes. I do know that a new episode is airing this weekend, and we will be back to talk about it later this week. But I just wanted to come on and speak about some things involving WoW and also some news before we get into these last two episodes. Technically, three and a half if you count the episode that was just a feature on the Classmaster and Tormenta's beef involving the Wild World Championship. But either way, you guys get the gist of it. I'm so happy to be back. If move into Wild News, we just want to send big ups and congratulations to Sylvia Sanchez, who actually is going to be at WrestleCade this weekend. So if you have not already had a chance to go meet her, one of the one of Las Banditas, but now she's the Lone Bandita. She's a very talented wrestler. So if you have not had a chance to go meet her at WrestleCade this weekend, please go do so. It is sponsored by WoW Superheroes. So go meet her if you're in that area because this is a huge weekend with a lot of different wrestlers from various promotions with different matches as well. So please go there and show support to Sylvia Sanchez, our lone bandita. I thought that was really cool to share. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also, I just want to send a congratulations to Melissa Henao, who used to be a correspondent for WoW, but also had been featured in the past couple of episodes as a translator for our WoW World Champion, Tormenta. She won an Emmy Award because she also works in broadcasting in Texas, and she is a very hard worker. And the idea that she won an Emmy and got her broadcasting career started with WoW Superheroes is a testament to her hard work and her passion. So I just wanted to give a big ups to her for winning an Emmy because that is a huge, huge deal. If you saw the video, you saw how excited she looked and how happy and shocked she was. So congratulations to Melissa Hanau, the translating voice for Tormenta, our Wild World Champion, for winning that Emmy. And also, of course, like I mentioned previously in that episode that just featured the Classmaster and Tormenta, they had their blow off match for the Wild World Championship that Samantha Smart tried so hard to angle her way back into. But as it turns out, Tormenta was able to rise above the shenanigans of the Classmaster and Samantha Smart and retain her Wild World Championship. So Tormenta is still the champion, and I know this weekend she will be having a championship match against Paola, the Colombian Goat Mayfield. And it makes me wonder what she has in store with Abilene Maverick, her well, not her MVP, her VIP friend of Las Vegas. But of course, Tormenta has had a pretty stellar year this year, so I can't wait to see how she chooses to rise above all of the craziness that those two women might have in store. So that's really all that happened within that episode before I move into Moment of Truth and War Never Looked This Good. But I do have something that I do want to address. As a part of the WoW fandom and as someone who has covered WoW over these past 3 years now, there was something that I did see a few weeks ago where Genesis, a WoW superhero who used to be with the faction known as Exile, that had Exodus as well as another senior member of WoW Superheroes who was a part of it, and now she's a single star. She is a an amazing wrestler who has a martial arts background, and then you see her with the nunchucks swinging them around and everything. She is someone who has supported our show, supported us, even when we've given takes that has not necessarily been in her favor, because of course she's a heel. She has been actively vocal and actively supportive of our platform when we were covering it here and also covering it elsewhere. She was very vocal about it, and we have been supportive of her since we've been covering it. So a few weeks ago, you can only imagine my shock to see a video of a taping from WoW Superheroes on Fremont Street in Las Vegas of her in a match that has not aired yet against Carolina Cruz. And she hits a flying leg drop, and it winds up not going the way that she thought it was going to go, because of course this is wrestling. Whenever you're in the ring, sometimes things happen, mistakes happen. These are human beings, and I feel like us as wrestling fans get so caught up in the glam and the entertainment of it all that we tend to forget that these professionals are indeed humans. And a mistake was made, and it wound up going viral, and people were sharing it, resharing it, sensationalizing it, reposting it, talking about all the ways in which that other girl, Carolina Cruz, should have reacted, talking about what they would have done after the fact, and just talking trash about the promotion as a whole, with also having former WoW superheroes coming in and talking about the ways in which they want the promotion to be successful in the midst of it. And then you even had other people with greater wrestling journalism platforms weighing in their opinions about the thing, but yet have never addressed anything about watching WoW superheroes or covering WoW superheroes in the past or anything else like that. And I just wanted to come on here as the co creator of this show and speak out about that. Me and Katrina have noticed within the past few years of covering, of having this platform, that WoW has a tendency to go viral for the most negative things. And the thing that I hate is that you have this one promotion that is taping, but yet still showing episodes in syndication in the United States, that's running women's wrestling on an hourly basis. And yet somehow people find all kinds of negative things to always say about it, and finding ways to talk trash about it or trash it all and all of the things. And yes, on this show, we talk about supporting women's wrestling across all platforms and across all um, promotions, indie, mainstream, and otherwise. But we're also talking about supporting women's wrestling on this show because these women come from various athletic backgrounds, whether it be in wrestling as, independent veterans or whether they are athletes in other forms. Just like on NXT, where you see different wrestlers come through their NIL program who might have never wrestled before, but they came from other sports. That's essentially what WoW also has too, where they have their training center where they train women who have other athletic backgrounds, but then they want to get into wrestling. That's essentially what WoW does as well. But it seems that WoW always bears the brunt of extra criticism when it comes to either mistakes, when it comes to storylines, when it comes to anything else. And it's just really disgusting and it just gets on my nerves because a lot of the mistakes that people make in wrestling, they happen, but I tend to think that if you are a fandom of one promotion, a lot of mistakes get overlooked or they don't get spoken about at all, or you just try to pretend that all of the wrestling is just cleaner and perfect in one product. And even when mistakes are made on another product, you have a tendency to talk trash about them. And it's even harder if you're a woman, because if you're a woman and you're making mistake, you have people who call themselves wrestling fans talking about how they feel like women shouldn't be in wrestling because they make mistakes like this, or they're too emotional, or they just need to go back to bra and panties matches and all of the above. And then you have wrestling fans who claim that they love wrestling so much, but then they'll talk trash about the people in ring executing all of these moves who, and you would never have the ability to execute these moves as a whole. Everybody cannot be a wrestler. Everybody does not have that athletic background and the focus enough and the resilience enough to bounce back and take hits and take bumps like that and actually continue to do it on a regular basis. Yet you sit on your computer, use whatever characters you think you have or pay for to talk trash about a promotion full of women who are actually trying to do their best to put women's wrestling on another platform in a different way. And it's frustrating. It angers me to no end, and I don't care who has anything to say about it. Whenever people choose to talk about WoW when it's negative and when it's the popular thing to do, but then it's like when the show is actively coming on every weekend and the episodes are placed online for you to watch about it, you don't give it the time of day. And we say on the show constantly, watch Wild Superheroes, support women's wrestling, give it a chance if you haven't given it a chance, because this is what our platform is about. We try to keep things positive most of the time, but it's kind of hard to try to encourage people to do that whenever but when moments like this happen and things go viral, and then you guys want to jump on the bandwagon of talking negative about it, but then you don't ever want to watch the show or consistently cover it as a whole. It's stupid, it's reckless, and it's ridiculous. And it's also hypocritical for you to talk trash about this all female show, but then it's just like when mistakes are made in other promotions, you don't want to cover that at all. You don't want to talk about that at all. Can I buy a vowel? Hello, I can't hear you. It's ridiculous. Women in wrestling already go through enough. They go through sexism, they go through being labeled and relegated as eye candy. You still have people who constantly want to just use them as a bathroom break as if their matches aren't substantial enough to pay attention to. And you have these women athletes who are trying to propel it forward in whatever way that they can. And you have the powers that be who are giving you a show in North America that is showing this on a regular basis, but yet you continue to crap on it. But these will be the same people who will say women's wrestling deserves better. We need an all female pay per view here and an all female pay per view here. But then when there is an all women's show and an all women's promotion on television consistently every weekend for the past 3 years, you don't want to give it the time of day until it's popular and lucrative for you to talk about in a negative way. Find something else to do. Find something else to talk about. Do something else. Support women's wrestling, but don't just support women's wrestling only past your own promotion. Support it all the way. Because my thing is, I might watch WoW, I watch WWE, and I watch AEW and TNA. But my thing is, if you see me and you follow me on social media, you know that I share women's wrestling from all over the world. Even even in Japan, as I've become more exposed to the things that they've got going on in Japan, because there are future stars in waiting with that. But and I even try to use my platform for good even with that. Because my thing is, if you're going to support women's wrestling, you need to support it all the way and not just only past your favorite promotion. Now, mind you, I know that people have their taste in wrestling, and you are all right to be and feed into that taste in wrestling if you want to. I mean, everybody has their choice of what they like to watch, but don't trash the other women on the other shows when they are only working hard and doing their best to reach to the highest part of the mountain. It's ridiculous, and it only makes you look stupid, and it only makes you look hypocritical, and it only makes you look gross, and it just disgusts me all the time. And what's even worse is the people who are feeding into the negativity will probably be the same people who talk about how WoW is a waste of time and a waste of money to cover on their own websites. And that has happened to me before, where I have addressed that I've wanted to cover WoW for a website, but yet and still they talk about how it's a waste of money and a waste of time and a waste of resources to want to talk about them. Women's wrestling is not a waste, and WoW is not a waste of time. And as long as I have a platform, I'm going to talk about them and give them the shine that they deserve. And as long as women's wrestling is thriving, WoW will continue to thrive. And if you guys want to pick and choose to talk about it, that is perfectly fine. But I and Katrina are going to be consistent in talking about this show the way that it deserves to be talked about. And if mistakes are made, mistakes are made. Wrestlers are human beings. And it's not like people outright mean to hurt people. Not in this day and age. Stuff happens all the time. These are human beings. Give them grace. Give women's athletes grace to mess up sometimes. We don't give each other enough grace. And that's the kind of thing that leads to people hurting themselves in the long run or taking themselves out in a negative way. It's ridiculous and it needs to stop. Wrestling fans are the only fans that eat themselves. It's like they eat themselves alive. And for what? I thought we loved wrestling. If you love wrestling, act like you do. If you love women's wrestling, act like you do. Act like you do. But for people to sit up and talk about and make this go viral only to not talk about WoW the next day, it's just really ridiculous. If you're going to talk about it as and sensationalize it for your own platform as much as you want to do it for negative, why don't you try using your platform for the positive and talk about it in a good way and try to shine light on the positive things? But you don't want to do that. And I'm not saying that WoW is perfect by any means. No promotion is perfect. But my thing is, if you're going to use energy to talk trash about it, the least you could do is also use your energy to talk about the stars like BK Rhythm, like Gigi Gianni, like Princess Aussie, like Penelope Pink, who are putting their bodies on the line to try to give great characters and give great storytelling in the ring and pulling off acrobatic and athletic feats in the ring. But y'all don't want to do that. Y'all just want to be negative. And I know that this is probably not what you guys signed on here for, but I just had to talk about this because it was just getting on my nerves. I had some things I need to say. I really did. But if y'all aren't going to pay attention, if y'all only choose to pay attention to the negative aspects of what WoW has, and not pay attention to the positive, then that says everything about y'all. But as far as I'm concerned, we're going to keep covering the show. And if you want to give it a chance, then give it a chance. Give all of women's wrestling a chance. Give WoW a chance. And if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But don't get online and just hop on the trend when it's cute for you and when it's lucrative for you and then just hop off of it and act like you proceed to and just act like you don't care. It just says everything about you and nothing about them. And it sure as hell doesn't say anything about us. Now, moving on. We're going to talk about these past two episodes, with the first episode being Moment of Truth. And yeah, the first match that took place on the episode of Moment of Truth was the Brat Pack versus Ashley Blaze and Xena Phoenix. Now, Ashley Blaze, of course, is riding the wave of getting her first victory in the first match that ever took place with WoW on Fremont Street, and she's tagging with Xena Phoenix, who is, of course, the Albanian grappler against the Brat Pack. And sadly, Katrina's not here for me to make fun of her about BK's bars, but either way, BK got on the microphone and started rapping. And she said, Las Vegas, I need y'all to shut up. We got something to say. BK and Gigi are must see TV, and dousing y'all's fire is gonna be easy. Because everything Ashley Blaze you do is a flagrant foul. And Xena, you're not tapping us out. You're gonna throw in the towel. But either way, hey, whether you like BK's bars or not, she's going to hand them to you on a silver platter regardless. So, Xena and Gigi started off the match with the lockup, and Xena actually came in swinging with this match, hitting a fireman's carry and locked in an armbar immediately. But Gigi found a way to break the hold with the rope as Xena continued to throw Gigi around and grappled around the mat with the Greco-Roman style. There was a 2 count after a cradle pin attempt, and then Ashley tagged in, and then both Ashley and Gigi showed off their agility by hitting all kinds of backflips and stuff and jumping over each other before Ashley Blaze applied a waistlock and a kick to Gigi's leg and hit double knees to Gigi's back for a 2 count. There was a lot of quickness and cohesiveness that we did see from Ashley Blaze and Xena Phoenix that I did enjoy. But of course, the Brat Pack are going to use all of their crazy shenanigans to try to get on top. This was a very well paced tag team match between these two. It went on for a good portion of the first half of the episode with all kinds of different things with BK and Gigi trying to bounce back and even breaking the counts for each other. But the thing that I enjoyed the most was just seeing how Ashley Blaze and Xena Phoenix were actually using those tactics to try to get the upper hand on the Brat Pack. And that's something that I do like seeing from my tag teams that are faces. Like if your heel tag team opponents are constantly, tagging in and out and breaking the counts, do the exact same thing to them, please. And that's what they were doing. BK then tagged in Gigi and both ganged up on Ashley Blaze and hit um, a double sledge strike to the back of Ashley. Gigi was giving chops and forearm strikes to Ashley Blaze in the corner. This was during their isolation game, but eventually Ashley was able to tag in Xena, and she blasted Gigi with a clothesline, an arm drag series, and a knee strike. And BK broke that count up, but then Ashley Blaze tagged in and pulled BK out of the ring to fight on the outside. And then Xena leaped into an armbar to Gigi, who wound up tapping out. And Ashley Blaze and Xena Phoenix got the win. And after they won, David McLean interviewed the girls and gave them props for their tag team dynamic. And they talked about how Xena Phoenix's family was there and how proud she was of that victory and how she's just willing to show more of what she has to offer to climb the ladder of WoW. So this was really good tag team stuff from both teams. But Xena Phoenix and Ashley Blaze showed how cohesive they were. And it was just really good. So this was a really good start. Now, of course, backstage, we heard from Fury, who wanted to talk trash about Gloria Glitter, who she was getting ready to fight in this episode. She said, There's something that you and I have in common. We are both the veteran wrestlers of our respective factions. But the main difference is that Coach Campanelli and Candy Crush are just your teammates, and they're real proud of the fact that they're just your teammates. However, Daisy Lane and Chainsaw are not only my teammates, but they are my family. They are my friends and we have bonded. And because of that, I have a deeper responsibility to them. And just like Daisy Lane took down Coach Campanelli 2 weeks ago, I'm going to take you down today. And Chainsaw is going to take down Crush next week. and we will take you down separately until we take you down together for those trios championships. And this made me happy to hear because I have been gunning for Monsters and Metal to go after those trios titles for the longest time. And I hope that eventually they will take those titles off of them. So this was really good for me to hear. It sounded like ear candy. I was like, yes. So this fed into the next match, which was well, not that match. I need to move forward. Which was Gloria Glitter, who came out with her Wild Trios champions teammates, top tier, Coach Campanelli and Crush, going up against Fury, who came out with Chainsaw and Daisy Lane. Now, little Daisy, the doll, has of course been fixed since the last time she was attacked by Crush, who tore her apart for a second time. And of course, Gloria decided to take the underhanded route by charging at Fury with no avail, and Glitter actually swatted a kick away from Fury. And in this match, like Fury said in that promo, you can definitely see how both of these women are very much the veterans of their trios teams because Fury has been out here wrestling for a long time as a wild superhero and in the indies, and so has Gloria Glitter. And this was on full display here in this match. Fury connected with the clothesline to Gloria to a 2 count, and then she gave a hip attack into the ropes with the headbanger's ball early on and the Shining Wizard. But Coach Campanelli climbed the apron to distract the ref, which was a common theme throughout this match, with Gloria taking advantage by hitting a double drop kick to Fury in the ring corner. Then Coach and Crush pulled Fury down as Glitter distracted the referees again. And then Gloria landed double knees to Fury's face and a single knee to Fury's jaw and distracted the referee again to open up for a Coach and Crush sneak attack. But and this was going on while Gloria was hitting her stair stepper to Fury on the bottom rope. And then she hit a leg drop to Fury's head on the apron, yelling at the crowd to get their pulses up, with Fury kicking out of a pin attempt, never giving up. And then Gloria then slammed Fury's face into a turnbuckle, but then Fury got up and then elbowed Gloria's head, and then Gloria licked her hands and chopped Fury's chest. This was a very hard hitting affair. Gloria then counted with her knee strikes to Fury. 1, 2, 3. And then she hit a sunset flip and a submission hold to Fury and then kept stomping and mushing her. But then Fury swept Gloria down with a sweeping kick and then chopped Glitter and hit a pop-up power bomb onto her for a 2 count. And Gloria ducked Fury's back fist and then tried to cover for a 2 count. But then Fury escaped Gloria's submission maneuver, and then she locked in a submission. And here again, Crush and Coach Campanelli tried to push the rope to Gloria to grab, but then Daisy and Chainsaw beat them off of the bottom rope, and Gloria Glitter had no choice but to tap out, and Fury won. This was a really stellar match. As you can hear, it was very hard hitting, very sharp with their movements, very it was just really cool. But then the thing that irritated me here again is that you have top tier using their strategy of distracting the referee to try to get the upper hand and manipulate the match into their favor. But Chainsaw and Daisy Lane were not having it. They were not going for it. And that allowed for Fury to get a fair win here over Gloria Glitter. It was really cool. And I was happy that that happened because it gave them major momentum. Because as these singles matches have happened, it's like Coach was the one who gave the challenge for all of the members to fight each other in terms of like singles competition, but Monsters and Metal had their eye on the prize and beat just about every member. But of course, in the next episode, we'll see how the match with Crush and Chainsaw went. But either way, it was a really good match from Fury and Gloria Glitter. So after that match, we got a special spotlight on Princess Aussie, who we had not seen in a minute, feeding into her tag team match later on. And she was talking about her journey to wrestling as an Australian woman. She used to dance and perform, and she talked about how dancing and performing helped her escape an abusive household. With her mother and stepfather. She joined a dance troupe and relocated to California. And she started boxing as a stress reliever But then decided to get into wrestling after someone suggested to her that she should go to wrestling school. And one of the biggest things that she dealt with was dealing with immigration and green card orders, green card issues. And then she didn't have any money, and there was a point where she was nearly homeless. But she tried out for WoW during her wrestling training, and she talked about how being at WoW helped her feel powerful um, in finding who she was. And of course, if you've watched any of the older episodes of WoW, you can see the type of journey that Princess Aussie had, but she has definitely risen in her own power. She's even been WoW World Champion. In my opinion, she wasn't the WoW World Champion nearly as long as some people have been, like Penelope Pink. Here's looking at you, kid. But Princess Aussie is one of my faves. And also her name, she did mention her name during her spotlight. Her wrestling name outside of the world of WoW is Simone Williams, and she does wrestle in the indies quite a lot all over the country. So if you've seen her in her other darker Simone Williams persona, you've seen Princess Aussie fight before. And I'm just so proud of her, and I can't wait to see what more she has in store for us on WoW and also just elsewhere, because she's also done motion cap for WWE video games. And I am hoping and manifesting that one day she will be in a WWE Australian pay per view. I keep manifesting that for her every time they have one. And I think one time she even went to one. Whether I think it was either a SmackDown or a Crown Jewel this year, she was at one of those. And I'm just like, girl, if as God is my witness, you are going to be on one of those pay-per-views. I'm just putting it out there. She has to be there. She has to. Crown Jewel, Perth, whatever, she has to be there. So yeah, Miss Ma'am is out here, and we love Princess Aussie here on Steph and Cat Talk Wow. So after this superhero spotlight, Santana Garrett told Goldie Collins and Katarina Jinx that they belong in the pound while she was walking her dog, and I thought that was very interesting to see her out in, the park walking her dog. That was pretty cute. But this led into the main event of Moment of Truth, which was a tag team match between Animal Instinct, Goldie Collins, and Katarina Jinx, and Santana Garrett and Princess Aussie. Now, we have seen Santana Garrett and Princess Aussie tag team with each other before on the basis of them being championship caliber superstars and just getting together and creating a tag team. But of course, Goldie Collins and Animal Instinct have been a tag team for a lot longer than these two. And they call themselves the future of the WoW tag team division, and they questioned the loyalty of Santana and Princess Aussie to each other. And that was really interesting in comparison to how long they have been a tag team. Um, and yeah, it was really cool. So these are friends of the pod, and we do love their dynamic as a tag team. So at some point, we do have to wonder how other tag teams would fare against them. But as we get into this match, Katarina and Santana started off with lockups and shoves. Santana shifted Katarina over into a roll and then Katarina rolled away and then tagged Goldie Collins in. And then Santana gave Goldie Collins an arm drag series and a jackknife leg sweep cover for a 1 count. Santana tagged Aussie in while holding on to Goldie Collins, and then Santana kicked Goldie Collins and then Aussie hit a sliding clothesline for a 1 count. Animal Instinct was not making it easy for them in the early going of this tag match. Goldie then got frustrated and tagged in Katarina. Aussie and Katarina ducked kicks from each other, and then Aussie tossed Katarina into the corner and splashed into her and then hit a snap suplex to Katarina for a 2 count. And then Katarina battled back with a kick and a backbreaker and then stomped Aussie, and then Goldie dog sat Aussie onto the ropes, which was very painful looking. And they proceeded to isolate Aussie from Santana. And Santana and Goldie were arguing with each other. And then the referee broke it up, but then the referee wound up missing the cover that Goldie had on Aussie, and then she tagged in Katarina, but then Animal Instinct hit a vertical stalling suplex, which was really awesome looking. To see them use each other as weapons, it was really cool. Then Ozzy fought back with a jawbreaker to Katarina and knocked Goldie off of the apron. And then Katarina hit Ozzy in the face and then speared her in the corner and then back kicked Ozzy for a 2 count. And Ozzy escaped another suplex attempt from Katarina and Goldie and then tagged in Santana, who came in like a house of fire. She speared Goldie and then kicked Katarina, then backhand sprung and gave a backhand spring elbow to Katarina, and then she hit her rise and shine forearm strike onto Goldie, but Katarina wound up breaking the count, and then Santana blocked Kat's kick and then super kicked Katarina and then tagged in Ozzy, who um and then in the midst of all of this chaos, Goldie tagged in and then knocked Santana off of the apron again. And then Katarina and Goldie Collins ganged up on Ozzy some more. And then Katarina hit a code breaker and Goldie hit a flying clothesline. And then Santana broke the count. And then Katarina threw Santana out of the ring. But then Ozzy hit her double cutter from down under on Animal Instinct on both members. And then she covered up Goldie for the 1, 2, 3 and wound up winning the match. So Princess Ozzy, in the midst of all of this spotlight stuff that happened on this episode, and in this main event, wound up getting the win for her tag team with Santana over Animal Instinct. And it proved that even though they are single stars who are just forming a tag team, they can be on the same page, when the chips are down. And that's something that we really love from our baby faces. So, as much as we love Animal Instinct over here and their magnetism that they have with each other with their tag team work, Santana Garrett and Princess Aussie really showed that they came to play, and it was really cool. So that was the end of that episode, Moment of Truth. And of course, we now move into the next episode, which was War Never Looked This Good. And this episode was pretty fire, I will say. The episodes have been sort of short. I guess that might be in terms of availability of the women. When it came to the tapings in Las Vegas, because like I've mentioned previously, these women are on the indies as well. So yeah, it can be kind of hard for everybody to be on every episode. But either way, the next episode is War Never Looked This Good, which aired November 22nd and 23rd. We're moving into December tomorrow. Oh my gosh, guys. What the heck is happening to time? But anyway, this next episode, before I get into the first match, gave a recap of the drama involving the Fab Four and Holly Swag and how Big Rig Betty, her mother, and Jesse Jones came to fight for her. And then they gave a recap of the tag team match, of the Wild Tag Team title match that Big Rigs and Bourbon had against Miami Sweet Heat, in which Miami Sweet Heat used hairspray in order to cheat and retain their titles, even after Holly Swag came out there to beat up on Penelope Pink and supposedly injure her ankle. We don't see you with a cast on, but whatevs. Um, Either way, with all of that action and all of that heated drama going on, this leads us into the main event, which we will talk about. But they were just showing a recap of all of the drama that these women have had going on since they stabbed Holly Swag in the back and threw her out of the Fab Four. Now, we get into the first match of this episode, which was Nikki Nashville versus Genesis, who we actively love on this show and actively support on this show, no matter what idiotic haters say. Now, um, in this match, there was a lot of early aggression. Nikki was shoving Genesis. Genesis was shoving Nikki. There was a submission of the wrists amongst the both of them, and then Nikki cartwheeled out of it. There was a lot of agility and quick movement that Nikki Nashville was showing to Genesis as she was trying to escape out of a lot of her moves and stuff. She had an arm drag, and she showed off a lot of power and strength here. A lot of I feel like the thing that fascinates me the most about Nikki Nashville is just the fact that she looks like a powerhouse, but she can grapple with you and trade submissions with you if it comes down to it. And I like that in Nikki Nashville. I really do. Then Genesis kicked and sprung Nikki's neck on the bottom rope and tried to choke her out, and then she hit a leg drop. And then she mashed Nikki's upper body into the ropes with her legs. And then she tried to choke her out with an X choke, but then Nikki escaped and gave her own X choke to Genesis, which I know she didn't like. Then Genesis gave a rear chin lock to Nikki on the top rope and then gave a spin kick. It was very innovative how she had this chin lock while also just being climbed up on the top rope. Like I was just like, hold on, bro. What type of leverage and what type of punishment are you trying to give this woman? It's crazy. And then she continued to give a rear chin lock on the mat, but then Nikki stayed in the match and did not tap out. They both traded shots and then an elbow drop in the spin kick from Nikki, and then she hit a slam for a 2 count. And then Genesis, and then right when it looked like Nikki had the upper hand and she was about to lift Genesis into a slam or like press her, Nikki raked I mean, not Nikki. Genesis raked Nikki's eyes and then gave a sweep kick and a tornado kick for a 2 count. So the cheating didn't exactly help her. And then Nikki ran into the ring post as Genesis moved out of the way. And then Genesis covered Nikki up with rope assistance and won the match. So Genesis is still out here using dirty tactics to win, even though it was very disappointing for me because this match was a great little back and forth. So I was very upset when she cheated. I was like, girl, why did you have to do that? Genesis, chill out. It's like she tries so hard and talks so much game about wanting to prove herself, but yet you always choose to cheat to win your matches. And it's just like, Genesis, girl, when are we going to do better? Are we going to do better in 2026? Please. Let's do better and not cheat anymore, okay? You do not get WoW World Championship chances like in the right way by cheating, and it just frustrated me. So Nikki Nashville cut a promo because she was also frustrated. And she said, Genesis, I'm so disappointed that you had to cheat to win. I thought that we would see who had the better competitive edge. I'm going to climb to the top of WoW because I'm Nikki Nashville and I don't throw down, I get down. And I thought this was a pretty cute promo, but I would have preferred if she just kept the focus on Genesis and roasted her a little bit more for cheating. But, Nikki was being a baby face here and proving that she wasn't going to give up on her WoW aspirations. And I appreciated that. But, I wouldn't be mad if these two had a rematch. And of course, the stipulations get changed that if Genesis cheats and she'll forfeit or have to lose or something. But this match was really good. So, in the midst of this, we did get a promo from WoW Trios champion, Coach Campanelli, who was backstage giving a little bit of the story and the background of Crush and Chainsaw's relationship, if you could call it that. She was cutting this promo from the WoW PC Performance Center, I guess, if you could call it that, or Training Center, I guess. And she said, Chainsaw, will the monster never learn? Everyone was all in an uproar when Crush destroyed your little dolly, little Daisy. But if I remember correctly, you're the one who destroyed her gloves. So here's coach tip number 405. Don't start something that you can't finish because top tier will finish it for you. And in your match with Crush, that's exactly what she's going to do. So maybe then you'll learn. You're welcome. So for those who may or may not remember, when before Crush was with Top Tier, she was her own boxing slash wrestling star in WoW, and she eventually grew to become more of a substantial bar for newer WoW girls to come in and prove themselves against. And a part of her story was the fact that she wore these boxing gloves that her grandmother, who passed away, gave to her. But in the midst of this, when Chainsaw was running around with Siren the Voodoo Doll and Holodead, they took those gloves, ripped them up and destroyed them in order to play mind games with her. And of course, now that Crush is turned into a bad girl, they're using that as a form of get back at little Daisy. and Daisy Lane to rip up their doll as like a form of like I'm gonna get my look back. But it's really not the same because my thing is it's not like Daisy Lane was the one going around ripping up your boxing gloves because at the time Daisy Lane slash Pep Riley wasn't even with WoW. So for them to sort of take that and feed that into this was just kind of really it was really petty, honestly. But I guess they just have to be aggressive for any reason. And of course they recap the beef with monsters in middle and top tier, which led us into this singles match in their series of singles matches with Chainsaw going up against Crush. So all the teams were with each other and out there with one another. Chainsaw was angry, so she ran and stormed to the ring and gave and tried to give a big boot to Crush, but then she ducked it and then she tried to give her a blow, but then she wound up missing it because Chainsaw had it scouted. And then Crush was hanging on to the top rope in order to escape and regroup with her teammates, Coach and Gloria Glitter. And then Chainsaw actually bit Coach's hand when she tried to reach into the ring and on the ropes. Like she bit her hand and she was like, "Oh my God, you bit my hand! How dare you!" And then Crush tried to punch her, but then she wound up missing and her fist wound up hitting the mat. And then Crush tied up Chainsaw's leg into the middle rope and then she was stepping on her thigh. I appreciated Crush's strategy here because she was trying to break down her larger opponent. Because of course Chainsaw has always been imposing and she's always ran through um a lot of her opponents due to her large size and her power moves. And Crush was just like, okay, well, let me just end this early and let me just break her legs first so I can try to break her down. But this didn't necessarily work. This didn't necessarily work. So Chainsaw gave a chokehold after Crush ran her elbow into her, and then she gave elbow strikes and a podium stand onto Chainsaw's back, and it was just interesting to see how that was going as the match kept going on. But after everything was happening, Coach and Gloria proceeded to pull on Chainsaw in the middle rope while here again the referee was not looking. And as much as I love WoW, they really need to get some better referees to keep their eyes on something. Because my thing is, if we've been exposed to top tiers drama all this time, how come we're not aware of when they're trying to distract you and just keeping your eyes on the match? Like it's just kind of frustrating at this point. So Crush was punching on Chainsaw, and then Chainsaw grabbed Crush by the head, and then Crush broke the fingers, tried to break the fingers of Chainsaw, and then hit an elbow drop for a 2 count. And then Coach and Gloria tripped up Chainsaw, Daisy, and Fury to try to even up the odds. Um, and then Chainsaw gave Crush a clothesline series and a black hole slam. And here again, the referee gets distracted by Coach and Gloria. But then Chainsaw knocked them down off of the apron and then chokeslam Crush in order to get the win. So Chainsaw got the win, which basically meant that now all of Monsters and Metal have defeated all of top tier in singles action. Which led to Daisy Lane cutting a promo afterwards saying, "Look, David, you've seen that we've all collectively beaten all of top tier. So give us a trios championship match." And he acquiesced them and gave it to them. So that was really cool. I was really happy with how that turned out because I just feel like top tier has essentially done all they can with those titles. So I feel like at this point, look, let's just end it. Let's just wrap this up and end the chokehold that top tier has over the trios division. I'm kind of tired of it. Let's wrap it up, please. So, with all the stuff that Coach was just talking in front of those people in Las Vegas about them being the best team in all of professional wrestling, it's like you guys really thought y'all were going to run through Monsters and Metal and cheat to try to win, but it just didn't work out for you. Now, did it? No. So here we are. So there was a promo that the Fab Four had with Penelope Pink and Miami Sweet Heat. They were talking about how they were going to send Big Rigs and Bourbon and Holly Swag back to the truck stop, and they said that after we beat you, it's going to be like one of those trucks at the stop hits you, and It was crazy because even in the main event, Penelope Pink was vicious enough on the microphone to call Holly Swag a ratchet little girl. And I was just like, help. No, you didn't just call her that. She called Holly Swag the help and said that she would do nothing, that she would be not, she was nothing more than just somebody that they just brought around to just help them. And I was just like, oh my God, are you serious? So, in the midst of all of this moves us into the main event, which was the Fab Four with Lana Star out there going up against Holly Swag and Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones. And this match wasn't even really like a six-woman tag team match more than it was a brawl. It was it wasn't really a scientific skills match. It was just a lot of scrapping and a lot of fighting. And it was really tough to watch in some areas because you could see how heated that Holly Swag was getting in a lot of different areas. Like she would get so heated that she would mush Penelope Pink, punch on the Carlson twins, and try to rip out their hair. Like this really was, as much as we don't like to say it, it was very much like a fight that you would see in the hood, where you always just see this one person just jumping up and down and just jumping over and just trying to get to the person and mink, 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 mink. That's really what was going on. And it was the craziest thing to try to sit up there and watch. It was hard for me to even watch and take notes at a certain point because these women weren't just, they weren't just wrestling in a match. They were trying to kill each other. And of course, it did kind of get back to normal a bit in the moments where Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones were getting in there. But even in those moments, and even in the moments where the Fab Four were trying to use their dirty tactics to get the upper hand and gang up on Big Rig Betty, Holly Swag, here again, trying to fight for her mama, would jump in and be like, no, you ain't gonna do this. It was just really rough. But in the end, Big Rigs and Bourbon and Holly Swag wound up winning. And it seems like Holly Swag and her mom have patched things up. But there's a part of me that selfishly would have liked to have seen them on patch things up on camera. And to see Holly say, look, mom, I'm sorry. I wasn't, in my right mind. I was being blinded by all the shiny things. And I hate that I stabbed you in the back. But in the midst of it all, it just seemed like they were cohesive even as they were having that wild of a brawl. And they did announce that there will be another tag team title match against Miami Sweet Heat in the coming weeks. So we are gonna see that. But this is a very heated beef, and I just can't wait to see more of what it has in store for us. So that's the end of our episode of Steph and Cat Talk. Wow, I'm so glad that you guys were able to come on and watch this. And of course, if you weren't able to watch it live, you can watch it later on our YouTube channels for In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And of course, if you see me sharing any clips of it or see Cat sharing any clips of it, you can repost, comment, like, share, and all the things. Only share, like, if you watch the show, like, get into our post show as we talk about all the matches. But if you don't watch the show, don't jump on the train when it comes to anything negative. If you've learned anything else from this episode, but of course, if you want to share and get the word out about Wow Superheroes, and our post show, just reshare and copy the links and all the things. And just know that you can follow Katrina on In Cat We Trust with the E as the three. And know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. Follow the Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Continue to support the show that way. And also, read all my articles for Daily DDT because I do have something on the horizon there. And just continue to support me as I try to get more out here with bookings for commentary and stuff. So please support your girl and book your girl for different things like that. And if you have any conventions where you want somebody to talk about wrestling, I'm open to doing that as well. And of course, like I always say, if you do want to actually give WoW a chance and not try to be weird about it, Go on wowie.com, type in your zip code and see where it comes on for you on regular television, what channel it comes on for you on regular TV. If you watch it in Alabama, it comes on Saturdays, on most Saturdays, if it's not being preempted by a random sport that we have going on, at 6 o'clock on My 68. It also comes on Vice TV. You can also watch older episodes on their 24-hour WOW channel on a smart TV, on Pluto TV. Or a Samsung TV or whatever. And you can watch certain episodes on their YouTube channel, which is Wow Superheroes, and you can subscribe there. And you can also buy their merchandise on wowie.com as well as Pro Wrestling Tees and Amazon.com too. The holiday season is coming up, so if you want to buy a Wow Centered gift for a person, you can do that as well. So, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, please support women's wrestling. Um, Past your favorite promotion. Um, and until next time, bye y'all.